Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be diving into the latest around Arsenal. Joa Felix is now the key player Arsenal are looking at after the Shakhtar deal for Modric stalling. Now, this doesn't mean Arsenal are walking away or Arsenal have actually given up on Modric. We're just focusing on a player that can actually sign quickly, and that is Joa Felix. This morning, Fabrizio Romano has been speaking about the deal, and he said Joa Felix will go wherever he's guaranteed first team football. We're going to be diving into that one as well. We're going to be diving into the Evan Dika deal. We'll be talking about Alberto Moreno, another player that Arsenal are interested in playing at Las Palmas in Spain. He's only 19, can play as a right winger, left winger, and of course he's also seen as the next Pedri, right? That's quite interesting because I really do like Pedri. Chelsea have already held talks with Shakhtar, but they have not yet put an offer to the table for Modric. So that and more in this video. Hit the like button for me. Let's get this video to 600 likes. Subscribe to the podcast as well. We are magically close to 63,000 subscribers. That is quite amazing. And follow me on Twitter, Cossy Arsenal, because most of these stories, by the time we discuss them on YouTube, by the time I make a video, I've already broken them on my Twitter. So on Twitter, it is Cossy Arsenal. The link is already in the description. The link is also in the comment section. Make sure you check out my profile on Twitter. Let's grow that account as well. Now, let's start off with the Joa Felix story because it's actually catching up and down. And Fabrizio Romano this morning has been speaking about it. But before that, yesterday the Athletic, through David Onstein, had actually reported that Arsenal now stepping up their interest to sign Joa Felix, given the fact that Shakhtar might agree to reduce their price to meet the standards that Arsenal are actually putting up, or they might actually decide not to sell. So right now, our focus, our priority, our key player is becoming Joa Felix. Arsenal have held talks with Jorge Mendes together with Manchester United. We've also held talks with Atletico Madrid to see that the numbers actually reduce. Now, remember, I think that it was last week, I reported that David Onstein had actually said that Arsenal will be willing to sign both Joa Felix and Modric. And the problem with the Joa Felix deal is one. The amount of money that Atletico Madrid want is absolutely ridiculous for a 6-month loan deal. They want over 20 million euros, and then you have to cover the whole salary of the player within that period of time. Arsenal believe that is unbelievable. They believe the deal is actually ridiculous. Manchester United actually believed the deal is ridiculous as well, and they decided they will be focusing on other players, including key target Kolo Muani, right? So at the moment, Arsenal would want to sign Joa Felix because they feel this deal is easier. This deal is doable. We've had contacts between us, between Joa Felix and Thomas Partey, trying to convince him, trying to tell him about the situation, at the club as well. So this morning, Roman has been speaking about it, and he said, look, right now he's not aware of the conversations between Thomas Partey and Joa Felix, but then he said if they're happening, they're absolutely normal conversations. Players do talk to each other. Cody Gakpo talking to Virgil van Dijk before signing for Liverpool, probably. Maybe you have Anthony talking to one of the Manchester United people or players. It truly happens. Players do have conversations with each other all the time. And Romano said that is not going to be the key factor for him to sign for Arsenal. The key factor in this one is going to be Atletico Madrid. Their final decision to reduce the price and their final decision to eventually let the player go. Because some of the sources I've been looking at, and this is quite very dangerous for Atletico. Some of the sources I've been looking at actually claim that Atletico are two-way. They have 2 feet into places at the same time. 1 feet is actually in the place that doesn't want to sell and doesn't want to let Joa Felix go in January. And then the other foot is in the place where it's okay, it's all right, they can actually let him go for some kind of a loan fee, and then take all those wages off the books for some time, and then they can see what they can do for them for him in the summer. Now, important to note here, and I want to put this very clearly, is that negotiations between us and Atletico Madrid are active and are ongoing, and negotiations between Jorge Mendes and Atletico Madrid and Arsenal are also active and are ongoing as well. Yesterday, Jorge Mendes was in Spain to try and convince Atletico Madrid, can you reduce the price? Can you just, put it down? I'm quite still not very, very sure why they have set a very hefty price. I've had things concerning with taxes. I've had things concerning with a lot of things that I really, really do not understand. But 20 million euros still is a very, very high figure for a 6-month loan deal. So let's wait and see what's gonna come out of there. Jorge Mendes trying to convince Atletico Madrid and trying to find a new club for his player. Negotiations ongoing with Arsenal, that is confirmed as well. And Arsenal are trying to speed up this deal so that by the time we play maybe Tottenham Hotspur or Manchester United, the deal is actually over the line. So look, what I love about this deal, it is what Fabrizio has been speaking about in the morning on Court Offside. One, you're having a club that have to make a final decision, but then we already know the final decision is going to end up being them letting the player go. Then you're having a player who's desperate to find his form, desperate to regain his form, to regain his confidence, to regain to get back to the top of his powers. I think that's what Joa Felix is actually looking for, and he's looking for a club that can give him football every now and then. With Gabriel Jesus out, with Edin Ketia not being the player that many Arsenal fans feel he is, and Mikel Arteta, I don't think he's actually really, really convinced yet. With Gabriel Martinelli and Saka needing rotation all the time, Joa Felix, I'm telling you this, Arsenal is the right place for this boy. Arsenal is the right team to sign for. Look, I got no problems with him going to Manchester United. As an Arsenal fan, of course, I do have problems with him signing for Man United. But objectively, if you went to Man United, they do have Marcus Rashford, but they don't have any other, supporting wingers. I think Anthony has not actually come around. I think, Jadon Sancho is struggling with injuries and his form as well. So if he goes to Man United, he will play definitely game week in, game week out. If he comes to Arsenal, he will play game week in, game week out. So we're going to be waiting for the final decision from ATM and the final decision from the player as well. But this one, if Arsenal focus, this is an easy deal to do. Look, I always love the word focus because I feel like at times we just lose focus in negotiations. We just lose concentrations, in these deals, and that is why at times we fail to get them done over the line. Okay, but I still believe Arsenal will get this one over the line. I still believe we are front runners in this deal, and if we can agree with Atletico to pay the whole wage package of the player across 6 months, and then maybe give Atletico Madrid like 6 million euros or 5 million euros in terms of a loan fee, which I think they will actually eventually agree to. Then I think this deal will will quickly get over the line. But of course, let's wait and see. What do you think? Do you think Arsenal have the power and the resources and the remorse and the influence to get this one done? Or you feel it's a difficult deal? It's a little bit difficult. Look, it's a high money. It's a high money move. It's a very, very expensive move. So it's always going to be difficult. It's always going to be very, very. You're going to need a lot of patience. It's going to be very, very sophisticated, right? Now, on the Mikhailo Modric situation, I would love to give you an update because I know you want the Mikhailo Modric update, and I'm going to do that right about now. So first and foremost, what we know is that yesterday Chelsea and Shakhtar did continue in negotiations, especially the Chelsea representatives with the CEO at Shakhtar, who is in London this week. They continued negotiations according to Fabrizio Romano, but there is no official offer yet. We do not know how much Chelsea will be paying. We do not know how much they're willing to offer. We do not know how much money they actually want to put onto the table. But one thing we know is that they are really out there to get Arsenal. They are really out there to stop him from signing for Arsenal. They've said they will match any offer Arsenal put on the table and then beat that offer. So if we place 90 million euros, they'll place more. If we place 100 million euros, they'll place more. And for me, I feel like that is stupid business. That is not the way we should be doing our business. I mean, to be honest, that is not the way we should be doing our business. The way we should be doing our business is go out in the market, scout a player that you like. There's no problem with us and Chelsea liking the same player, but it shouldn't be trying to, limit Arsenal's powers, right? I know clubs have done this. Manchester City, Man United, when they were still in the title race back then, City could sign players because they want to stop Manchester United from signing them, and Man United could also sign players to stop Manchester City from signing them. And I think this is what Chelsea are trying to do right now. They do have an urgent need for a player like Mikhailo Modric, but their first priority is to stop him from going to Arsenal, right? But the players already told Chelsea and Shakhtar that his priority is signing for Arsenal, right? And respectfully, what Shakhtar should be doing right now is trying to reach a compromise, trying to reach an agreement, a consensus with Arsenal, not trying to agree a deal with Chelsea to force us into giving them more money. That's never going to happen. Arsenal don't operate along those terms. They actually don't. Now, Freddie Paxton, one of my favorite journalists, Freddie Paxton, has actually had a very, very detailed conversation about the situation with a Ukrainian journalist, and this is what actually he's come out with. He said, with Shakhtar now mulling over Arsenal's recent bid for Modric, it is worth considering why they have had a big position, or why they've been in position to command such a high fee. He talked to Ukrainian football expert Andrew Todos, and he broke it down for him in very, very simple terms, right? So number one, the market is inflated, and that's the reason as why Shakhtar believe they should be getting more money than Ajax got for Antony. And he said an obvious one: Shakhtar are looking at fees at fees for the likes of Jack Grealish and Antony, and are insisting that they can demand a very, very big fee. And he's saying decision makers at the club genuinely believe he's one of the best wingers in Europe and better than the two mentioned above. Okay, so the first reason as to why Shakhtar want that huge amount of money is because they believe their player is actually one of the best in the world. It's better than Grealish, it's better than Antony, and the market is already inflated, right? So we've seen these ridiculous figures for Pepe, 70 million, Antony, almost 100 million, Jadon Sancho, 90 million euros, and it is actually coming back to bite clubs like Arsenal. Number two, he says that Ukrainian football finances, and he says it looks like Shakhtar could be willing to accept something lower than the 100 million euro quoted, and why they the key being the sizable chunk to be paid up front. And he says the financial situation of the club and Ukrainian football generally means they need the money. Okay, and that is a very, very positive positive outcome for Arsenal. So the structure of the deal is going to matter. Okay, and that is something Freddie Paxton really, really believes that it can get the deal off the line. If you want to give us 80 million, can you give us 60 million up front? That is what Shakhtar are actually, talking about. And I don't know whether Arsenal are in such a position, but then we will see later on. Freddie says number three is the political situation, and he says Shakhtar have lost out on transfers for a number of foreign players who are allowed to leave on a free on loan while their contracts are going to run down. For example, you have Tete and Maina Solomon, both of whom who will leave on a free when their contracts expire this year. And lastly, Freddie says while numbers may seem high for such a young and relatively unproven player, it is worth considering his value to Arsenal as a much needed player mid-season as a backup, and then his value to Shakhtar for all the reasons above. Then it all starts to make a little more sense when you look at all those paragraphs. So look, it does make sense in my opinion. It really does make sense. What doesn't make sense is them coming out to say we want 100 million because Antony is 100 million. Don't do that. Like, okay, it's kind of good when you compare products. And I have no problems with that. It's a very, very nice marketing strategy. Like if I was to sell you this microphone and literally I compared it to this, I mean, it really makes a lot of sense. But I just feel like they're trying to sell to us something that they're not even sure of. Okay, Anthony, he had done it. He had done it with Brazil. He had done it with Ajax. Grealish has done it with Aston Villa. And for Mikhail Modric, he's lacking in a season. He's lacking a season, to be honest, in my opinion. But anyway, what do I know? Now, the other two stories I wanted us to talk about is 19-year-old Alberto Moreno. Molero is a player that Arsenal want. 19 years old, playing at Las Palmas. He's playing as a left winger, right winger, and attacking midfielder as well. Many people have actually said he is the next Pedri. Okay, I do love Pedri, and I've not seen Alberto Molero play, so I'm not going to give my opinions about him. But Arsenal would love to pay around 25 million euros for him, and that is quite very absurd. Anyway, the other story is about Evan Dika, and it was reported by the Bild yesterday. So Evan Dika has received a contract from Eintracht Frankfurt. I told you about that last time. But now they're saying that Arsenal still favors to sign Evan Dika even with that contract onto the table. Now, I think this is a deal Arsenal could hijack in January. If Mikel is serious about signing a left centre back, we could get this deal done in January, the Evan Dika deal, so that we walk away from all kinds of problems, especially leaving him with Eintracht Frankfurt, because they could just convince him to sign a new deal. So why don't we do it in January, like for maybe 10 million euros, and then just get done with. Follow me on Twitter, Cossy Arsenal. All the conversations that are interesting, you'll find them there. I'll see you in the next one.